Today on the newscast, 5 red heifers arrive in Israel. Is this a Bible prophecy breakthrough that helps pave the way for a third temple? Plus, were artifacts from the time of the biblical Exodus just discovered along Israel's Mediterranean coast? Find out next. Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. We've got a very important Bible prophecy update today. Red heifers in Israel. Plus, some breaking biblical archaeology news where objects from the Exodus period just uncovered along Israel's Mediterranean coast. But before I get into it real quick, I want to tell you about my good friends at Meir Panim. Now, the Jewish high holidays are just around the corner, starting in a few days, and for the people of Israel, it's a time of hope for a better year ahead. Yet did you know that over 2.5 million Israelis live below the poverty line, including 1.1 million children and 1 out of every 3 Israeli Holocaust survivors? Meir Panim's restaurant-style soup kitchens are providing warm meals to these needy Israelis in a comfortable dining setting. If you want to fulfill the biblical mandate to bless Israel and help Meir Panim provide Israel's hungry with the food and care they need, just visit meirpanim.erickstakelbeck.com. Folks, it's a great cause that we truly believe in, so you will want to check that out. In the meantime, for the first time in some 2,000 years, we can now say that unblemished red heifers are on the ground in Israel in 2022. Yes, it really happened late last week when 5 rabbi-approved red heifers arrived at Ben-Gurion Airport from Texas. Now, the cows were greeted at the airport by some 300 people and a welcoming ceremony. And if you're not familiar with the law of Moses and Bible prophecy, you might be asking right about now, what's the big deal? Some red cows arrived in Israel. So what? Why should I care? And what's all the fuss about? Well, for starters, the law of Moses says that for someone to become ritually pure for sacrifice, the ashes of an undefiled red heifer are required. Historically, for a Jew to sacrifice in the temple in Jerusalem, this was an absolute must. More on that in a minute. The book of Numbers, chapter 19, verse 2, lays it all out, saying, quote, "This is a requirement of the law that the Lord has commanded. Tell the Israelites to bring you a red heifer without defect or blemish, and that has never been under a yoke." The only problem was that for the past 2,000 years, no such red heifer existed that we know of. Until now. Evangelical Christian farmers in Texas, who are apparently very familiar with Mosaic law and the requirements, donated the heifers, and upon arrival in Israel, the cows were reportedly taken to a farm near Beit Shan, where they're currently under supervision and in a 10-day quarantine. Now, a group called Bonei Israel, I think I'm pronouncing that right, located the cows and helped facilitate this entire operation and get them to Israel. Pretty incredible work by Bonei Israel. Before the cows departed the U.S., a group of rabbis from the Temple Institute in Jerusalem even went to Texas and gave them the thumbs up. 5 red heifers, unblemished, just as the law of Moses requires. Now, another major point here, and another reason why you should care about these cows, is that many in Israel and many prophecy watchers believe that the emergence of these red heifers after 2,000 years is one of the final steps towards the construction of a third Jewish temple in Jerusalem and the resumption of temple sacrifices. And they believe that means we are very close to the Messianic age. Remember, the first temple, Solomon's temple, was destroyed by the Babylonians, and then the second temple was destroyed by the Romans in 70 AD. Yet the Bible is clear that a third temple will be built and that it will stand in Jerusalem. Now, on the positive side, in the book of Isaiah, chapter 56, verse 7, God says a day is coming when, quote, "My house will be called a house of prayer for all nations, and that people will come from all over the world to worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." Yet as a Christian who believes in both books of the Bible, I can't ignore that 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 4 says that the Antichrist will eventually walk into the third temple and declare himself God during the Great Tribulation period. Jesus also mentions this, as does the prophet Daniel. They call it the abomination of desolation. I also have to mention that when it comes to sacrifice, Christians believe that Jesus paid the ultimate sacrifice once and for all for our sins. But no matter how you look at it, the arrival of these red heifers seems to be a very significant event. But what do you think? Is this a fulfillment of Bible prophecy? Does it signal the third temple will be rebuilt soon? And is the Messiah, I believe his name is Yeshua, Jesus, at the door? Let me know what you think in the comments section. I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. Hey, we're posting here on our channel every weekday, Monday through Friday, and sometimes on the weekends, depending on the news cycle. And we would love to have you join our nearly 500,000 watchmen and women on the wall for such a time as this. Hey, one last thing before we go. We had a Bible prophecy breakthrough last week with the red heifers, obviously. Well, we also had a biblical archaeology breakthrough at Palmakim National Park near Tel Aviv along Israel's Mediterranean coast. Now, archaeologists from the Israel Antiquities Authority found an ancient burial cave near the beach that contained dozens of whole pottery and bronze vessels dating back some 3,300 years ago to the time of Pharaoh Ramses II. Now, he's the pharaoh that many associate with the Exodus story. One Israeli archaeologist called this a once-in-a-lifetime find. I'm hoping to do more on this in the coming days here in the newscast. Very exciting stuff. Hey, we live in perilous times, no doubt, but we also live in Bible times. And one way God is revealing himself to the world right now is through these amazing archaeological finds that prove the truth of the Bible. Thanks so much for joining us here today on The Watchman. Until tomorrow, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, click subscribe, and tap the bell icon to turn on notifications for new Watchman Newscast episodes every weekday.